Hello, everyone. Good morning. I think you're hearing me. Well, as Matthias was saying, I'm the head of sustainability at Bondalti, a chemical industry. And now, just before moving into more technical details, I really wanted to break the ice. And I'm going to ask you if you can just shut your eyes and try to imagine this. So you're inside of a plane doing a trip, a long-awaited trip to a paradise. You're trying to relax, just trying to imagine what you'll see when you get there. Maybe you're trying to travel to Maldives, and suddenly you start hearing some strange noises. You hear like a metal piece being loosened, and you find it really strange. But then the captain says, we're just traveling through some turbulence. Don't worry, everything is fine. Please enjoy your trip and try to relax. But then again, you hear another piece, another metal piece, another bigger piece being loosened, and you're still trying to relax. And again, the captain says, dear passengers, everything is fine. Just try to relax. We're just going through some turbulence. Everything is under control. But then you hear another piece and another piece. Probably you're already frightened and trying to think what is happening to this airplane. But this is happening every day as we speak. We have up to 2,000 species being extinct every year. And this is a 10,000 times higher rate than the normal expected extinction rate. So almost 40% of species around our planet face extinction over the next year's scenario. And we're talking of problems like food shortage, health problems, water, drinkable water accessibility, and even energy problems that we're facing. And actually, according to IPCC, we have already reached 1.1 temperature rise globally. So, in my opinion, we are not struggling with the 1.5 scenario anymore. We're struggling to avoid the other possible scenarios. We could be talking about 2, 3, or 4 degrees Celsius increase in average. That will lead us to, a biodiversity major loss, to an increase in the number of droughts, severe extreme weather problems, to increase in fires, etc., as you all know. But it is important to talk about climate change and to talk about cross-border impacts, because this is affecting all economies. And probably some specific events in a given point of the planet will induce major problems in a completely different point of the planet. For instance, we had heat waves in Russia in 2010, led by Arctic warming, and that led to cereal yield decline. And so we had an export ban in Russia. But accordingly, with the same event, the Arctic warming, we also had excess rainfall and flooding in Asia. So in Pakistan, there was also a cereal yield decline. Those two factors combined induced a global cereal shortfall, and that induced panic in buyers. That led to a cereal price increase, that led to food affordability and also food-related riots. So all these effects are connected with a specific given point that was only Arctic warming. So talking about Bondalti, Bondalti is a larger Iberian producer of chlor-alkali. We are the European leader in production of aniline in nitrobenzene. We produce more than 1,700 tons of products in last year. We belong to a very big historical group in Portugal, which is José de Melo, which has more than 100 years of experience. And we are leading in sustainability, in our sustainability sector, with having the platinum medal for over more than 3 years consecutively. Looking to our 2022 picture, we have more than 700 people working at Bondalti. We have sites in Portugal and in Spain. We had an increase in financial performance. We had more than 100 million euros in earnings last year, but we also applied to our community. We had investment in social programs for more than 2 million euros last year, and we also have some good results in terms of environmental, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, for instance, and also increasing the rate of recycling, just to name a few. So these are our main sectors. We operate in the chemicals, but we also have the water treatment and reuse business unit, and we have green energy. In the chemicals, like I said, we produce aniline and derivatives and also chloralkali. We produce projects for water treatment and reuse, mainly in Portugal, Spain, and Angola. And we are also in the green energy production with green hydrogen, and also with the new brand that has been launched, lithium energy, to the refinery of lithium. And we are the industry of the industries. So we are a B2B business, but our clients produce products and services for all these products that you see here. They produce for mobility, for construction, for pulp and paper, water treatment, pharma, etc. In terms of water treatment, we provide solutions for industrial sector, agro-food, and utilities. And of course, in terms of green energy, that can be applied to all these sectors, natural gas grid inclusively, and self-consumption. So, talking about sustainability professionals, during the last years I was talking with some colleagues, and I was thinking, I have been working in sustainability for almost 20 years. When I began studying sustainability in university in 1998, my first project was to study climate change applied to nearshore ecosystems. When I told, family and friends what I was studying, everyone looked at me, oh, that's so weird, like such a nerd thing. What is climate change? Almost 20 years later, when I explained to people, people ask me, what do you do? I'm an engineer. Yeah, right, but what do you really do? I work trying to help, companies be more sustainable. Oh, sustainability people, you guys aren't doing enough. What are you doing? We are reaching so much higher temperatures, so you're definitely not doing enough. And this explains the pressure. The pressure we see every day, and this is mainly focused in industry. We have a lot of pressure to decarbonize. We have governments applying a lot of investment. People look at the industry with a very negative perception, so we have to change also that. And chemicals really are at the core, and I agree with that major headline, they are really at the core for a net zero future. So we have to live up to these expectations. And it's interesting to note the trends in the news globally. And you would expect that this news would apply to Europe and the USA, but actually, if you look to Asia and China, these topics are rising very quickly. And so this is not a topic from Europe or USA, this is a global topic. But it's also important to notice which is the public perception. And if we look to that graph, into what extent this was a survey to CEOs, and provided by Deloitte. But if you look to what extent does your company feel pressure from external stakeholders or all stakeholders, and most of the CEOs responded they feel pressure from the board members, management, and in second place they feel pressure from regulators, and thirdly from clients. And we at Bondalti are feeling all of this. Maybe not in the same position, but definitely pressure from all stakeholders. But when we look at consumer confidence, what are people thinking about industry? Okay, so this is the share of respondents that consider that industry are among the least concerned industries about their environmental impact. So 49% of the respondents consider that industry is not concerned. And which is the impact in strategy and in operations in companies? And these are the points that CEOs mentioned as the most impacting their strategy over the next year. And definitely, of course, economic outlook is always on their minds. But second point is climate change. So everyone is looking to climate change. The question is, are they only looking or really taking action over it? And looking at strategy and operations, more than 60%, they consider that climate change will have a very high or high pressure on strategy and operations. And how are we handling with this pressure in strategy and operations? And these are the 5 top actions that companies or CEOs say they have been taking. So they are using more sustainable materials, like recycled materials, for instance, low carbon materials. They are increasing the energy efficiency within their processes, like energy efficiency in buildings. They are using more efficient equipment, machinery, technologies, and they are also enforcing training of employees. But as you can see, the most of these actions are focused in efficiency. And which are the top 5 obstacles to implement and take action about sustainability and climate change? The first one is the difficulty of measuring. So difficulty in having data accurately. Second one is too costly. They have to invest too much. The third one is that probably the board and top management is more focused in direct results, near-term results. In the fourth, the lack of political support, and sometimes CEOs mention also the excess of regulation. And by last, insufficient supply of low emissions inputs, like sufficient renewable energy. But what is most interesting is that almost 30% say that they believe that private sector is very serious about addressing climate change. Talking about net zero by industry. And this is a really interesting graph where you can see that many companies are not on track to meet net zero by 2050. And so they really need to accelerate. And that's the gap between their commitments, publicly available commitments, and actually the path that is the scenario to reach those commitments. And there's a really big delay, a big gap between the commitments and the real expected results. So how can organizations lead the way? And I think that sustainability really has to be embedded in business. So this is my perspective and what we should be looking into it. Talking with, internally, with colleagues, with peers, and everyone to try to drive change. So meet John, for instance, he's a client account lead, and he wants to be sure to meet his clients' expectations. So he knows how important it is to build trust with them, to have transparency when talking and negotiating with them to try to reach an agreement. This is Anna, Employee Engagement Manager. She's developing a well-being program with lots of social benefits for all employees, because she knows that people feel more motivated and engaged and can be more productive if they are healthy, happy, and feel connected in their workplace. And this is Emily, Head of Logistics. Is struggling to guarantee all materials and compounds are delivered on time. She's also analyzing all possible risks in the supply chain, including human rights, labor conditions, financial criteria, and raw material availability. And finally, we meet David. He's a site inspector. He's looking for ways to reduce energy and water consumption in the industrial processes, and he's also worried about the air quality report to prevent pollutants emissions. So all these people, they are contributing to KPIs that are directly connected to strategy, to business strategy, to a sustainable business strategy. I believe this is the way to connect to these people, to show them how their daily routines are connected with strategy and can produce results. And actually, this is a question of competitiveness. So organizations with stronger sustainability DNA are more likely to deliver financial value and sustainable impact. And in this graph, you see the difference for more mature organizations compared to business as usual, and companies with stronger sustainability embedded in their business model deliver more financial results with a lasting positive impact on society and economy. And as we were talking yesterday also about regenerative models, it's important to understand the different models within the organization. If we are at the sustainability point, it's more or less like reaching the break-even of the model. If we want to, drive really positive impact, we have to move to the right in the graph. We have to be regenerative. That is to give back more than you take from nature and people. So if we tend to look to the right, this organization has to view wealth holistically, consider all the wealth in terms of stakeholders, including the planet, has to be innovative, adaptive, responsive, has to empower participation, has to honor community and place, and has to be have a robust circularity flow, and also seek balance between all the contributions. And of course, if we look to the trends, and these are some major trends from Standard & Poor's for 2023, these are the main topics we should consider when driving sustainability strategy or business strategy. First of all, disclosure, and this is the main topic, as we also are driving to new regulation imposing reporting requirements, more complex and more rigorous. We have to deal with risk. It has to be always on top of our agendas, including climate risk and biodiversity loss risk. We have to also consider the trade-off. When we are investing in something, we have some kind of trade-off of not investing in something else. We have to think about adaptation and resilience every day more. And of course, we have to take care of the workforce. That's why training is so important. If we consider also from another source, top 5 sustainability and climate trends to watch, first one, net zero and energy comes on top. Again, resilience and adaptation, circular economies. We have also ecosystems and resources, and plus social sustainability, or as I like to call, social investment plans. And these are the 4 main challenges the organizations should invest and work hard on it to get data, accurate data, work on connectivity and interrelationships, and embed it into business. Sustainability cannot be treated as a department, and have a really strong investment in sustainable innovation. And for the chemical industry, the EU has developed this transition pathway for the chemical industry, which is like a Bible for chemical industry, the new Bible for industrial revolution, transformation. And I picked some of the most relevant topics. So in terms of competitiveness, we have to drive international competitiveness, measure long-term impacts, have KPIs and sustainable development indicators to measure performance. And we have to promote European environmental and safety standards. And we also have to promote the market for sustainable products. So we have to embed safe and sustainable by design in our products. We have to take care and monitorize hazard chemicals, some of them excluded for export. And we also have to incentives to purchase sustainable products with higher costs. Thinking about supply chain, and accordingly to transition pathway, these are the main orientations that organizations should follow to reduce the dependencies and supply chain vulnerabilities. So first of all, it's also connected with SDG number 17 and make the most of international partnerships. So promote partnerships, increase the collaboration with subsectors, secure long-term supply contracts for critical raw materials, and that applies, I can say, not only for our industry, but for any kind of sector, gather supply chain information and increase resource efficiency. Considering safety and sustainability, so we have to develop a workable framework and criteria for ensuring safe and sustainability by design. That is a major topic that's being discussed in the industry, how to embed sustainability by design in new products. We have definitely to improve collaboration in value chains. There are supposed to be new hubs for circularity, circular cities, Horizon Europe, new business models for chemical leasing, that's also being used in some companies, digital products passport, traceability of the products also, set up and invest in the reverse logistics. That's also applicable, to retail, for instance. Support substitution to safer chemicals also. Again, digital infrastructure with high quality data on products and environmental footprint. Eco-design for sustainable products regulation, and extend the generic approach to risk management to ensure that consumer products are really safe. And how are we at Bondalti? We have, calculated our carbon footprint, and no surprises, we have like 90% of our greenhouse gas emissions in scope 3. This is, from 2022, we are analyzing, considering for baseline to have average 3-year calculation to define our baseline, and evaluating how to define a new commitment for SBTi. But these are the main pillars that we are developing to decarbonize and to reach our net zero. So firstly, we have to transform. And by saying that, we have to look inside our house, consumption reduction and energy efficiency. We have to decarbonize energy sources. We have the target to reach 100% renewable energy for our site in Portugal, for instance. We have to invest in technological innovation and digital. Then we have to value. You have to analyze new products, life cycle assessment for existing products and new products. Our clients are always asking for green products, carbon footprint of our products also. we have to certify, not only to assess, but we have to certify those assessments. We have to process circularity, and we have some examples of circularity in our sites. We have to develop new circular business models, and then we have to start looking into some carbon financials, like carbon markets, and also to develop an investment based on ESG criteria, since the Bondalti group has one company of investments. Thirdly, we have to adapt. So we have, at last, for the hard to abate emissions, we can use carbon offsetting, of course, but we also want to invest in new business models for CCU and CCS, carbon capture, utilization and storage. We have to oversight our climate risk and adapt our facilities to prevent, some sort of catastrophic events, and even define. We are now actually reviewing our business continuity plans, introducing climate risks and biodiversity loss risks. And we have to adapt our sites and operations to possible, for instance, climate and water stress. And finally, engage and evolve. So we are now developing our responsible buying strategy according to ISO 20014 400. We are also starting our supply engagement program. We have to apply due diligence, and we have the new directive coming shortly into force. Also developing strategic partnerships for sustainable innovation, and of course reporting and compliance, and employee awareness and training for engaging. And why this is important, mainly for industry. Probably all of you have know about the emission trading schemes in Europe, and this is about to have a new reform. So this regulatory market applies only to 40% of total European emissions, 40%. And with the new reformulation, it is expected to have a reduction of 62% by 2030. So we pass from a scenario of minus about 40% to minus 60%. And there will be a phase out of free allowances starting in 2026. There's also programmed to be a separate new ETS for buildings, road transport, and fuels for additional sectors. And also includes the introduction of CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. And if we look to 2022 data, and doing some calculations considering the value of the ton of CO2 in 30 December, this market would mean like 100,000 million euros per year, all sectors. And just for industrial, we're talking about 40,000 million euros per year. This is the value of this market that will soon start to phase out, and we'll have to pay for these allowances. So another mechanism that organizations can also use are the voluntary carbon markets. And if the organization has carbon credits to sell or needs to buy, these are some of the major voluntary carbon markets that exist in the world. For instance, the one in the United States applies mainly to African and South America projects, and we have the London Stock Exchange voluntary carbon market. We have a huge market in Japan, also in Australia. Portugal also has a new voluntary carbon market. And these are some frameworks that we are working. We are working with EcoVadis and CDP. We are trying to submit to SBTi really fast, and we are considering also RE100 for our strategy. And now just to show you some examples of new products that Bondalti is delivering that are already being developed, and to show you how these principles of sustainability should be embedded into business models. And this project, called BioHyco, is a high-performance synthetic fuels from biogas for the production and separation of hydrogen and pure and dry carbon monoxide. These are the expected results. All these projects have European funds, so they are already approved and are being deployed. In terms of economic performance, we'll have a product efficiency in value chains. We'll provide food security and quality, precision technologies in agri-food, forest, and fishery sectors. In terms of environmental, we'll have waste valorization. The waste is being used for the production of biogas. We are also inducing circular models, producing green hydrogen, and promoting decarbonization. And we'll increase the biogas market value. This is another project undergoing, the new generation storage. And this is a new platform for industry for several sectors, with application especially in mining and refining, production of components and cells, assembly of packs, and integration and application of batteries for electric vehicles. And these are the expected results. We'll reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% in refining processes that use this application, develop new end-of-life processes for the reuse of resources. Socially, we'll create 200 new technical scientific jobs, leverage also entrepreneurship ecosystem and promote higher education. And in terms of economic performance, we'll increase the production of advanced lithium-based batteries and assemble 8 pilot lines in industrial production. Finally, my last example, it's called the inox. And this is an innovative technology that allows the valorization of byproducts from the production of nitric acid, converting it into raw materials. And again, the results expected are very interesting in terms of innovation, efficient use of resources, promoting circular economy and decarbonization. So the journey starts in you. Just wrap up of this just to show some examples, and I hope you can feel a little bit more inspired, and maybe we can discuss it further if you need anything from my end. Thank you.